Hey guys, it's Baden here with my tips for round 3 of AFL, and it's going to be a big round. It's going to be a lot of exciting games. This is actually going to be one of them, hopefully. Okay, so to break this game down, Bulldogs are zipping 2. They're in a bad place. They've just lost a grand final. Their coach seemingly had a bit of a mental breakdown in the first round in the post-press conference, but we're not going to get into that. We're going to get into this game. I've got some intel that Aaron Naughton might not be playing. He might not get up for this game, and if that's the case, you got to go with Sydney. But if Aaron Naughton does play, you have to go with Bulldogs, because they are going to get back Bailey Smith, and Sydney is still going to have their head in the clouds going, oh, you know, we just got Buddy 1000. And, you know, they're going to be thinking about that and cherishing that moment. They're a great team, Sydney. But Bulldogs have to win. And if they don't win, their season is cooked. Like, it doesn't matter if they beat the teams they have to beat. If they don't win this, you know, they're cooked. And I have a bad feeling that they are done for, because they're not going to have Aaron Naughton, and if that's the case, you got no Bruce, Aaron Naughton, you know, you're looking in shambles at the moment. I feel like this has to be a Sydney win. As much as I don't want to tip against the Dogs, especially given at where they're at right now, because they could easily surprise us all and get an upset here at Marvel Stadium, because that's where they love playing at. Yeah, I feel like it is a Sydney win, but at the same time, something deep down is telling me, Baden, tip the Dogs, and this is really hard. I really don't like umming and ahhing over tips too long. If I did know the actual legitimate case with Naughton, I would tip the Dogs. But right now, I'm going to tip Sydney, and I'm going to say this is subject to change. If Aaron Naughton plays, I'll roll the dice on the Bulldogs. I will. But for now, I'm going to pick Sydney by 14. Yeah, I just feel like it's going to be that kind of game. Okay, so I don't want to make a case for Essendon. I feel like Essendon could probably bring a fight to an extent, but at the same time, they're struggling. They did get Stringer back, but Melbourne is Melbourne. And Melbourne don't play around with their dinner. They get it done. So, Melbourne, in a good dominant performance, I'll say Melbourne by 38, maybe, yeah. This game is interesting. Very interesting, because Port Adelaide have been sunken down to a low level. They've lost their first 2 games. They're on the bottom of the ladder. Look at that. They're 18th. Adelaide Crows, they've had a couple okay performances. Nothing to write home about. That being said, a derby always makes things interesting, and I think Port need to win their first game of the year. And it might be an ugly affair, but then again, Port Adelaide could assert some dominance on a very young Adelaide side. So I'll say Port by 27. Getting into this game is interesting, right? I think GWS need to win. They need to bounce back. It's a must. Gold Coast are improved. GWS haven't won yet. You almost expect this kind of game to be the game that Sydney GWS would win, but with Gold Coast, you never know. They've gone to another gear. They got some good forwards down there now. They got Chol, and he's gone to another level. Ben Ainsworth has been okay at times. There are a couple guys there like Lukosius and a bunch of other players. The midfield as well is probably the best it's been in a while. So something, however, tells me that GWS need to win this, and I think we'll get GWS winning it by 9 points in a surprising thriller. We'll have that occur. Gold Coast out of the 8 now. Sad for them. A lot of people would be excited by Collingwood's start. I know I am. However, Geelong had a shocker against Sydney and they'd be pissed. They'd be pissed. And they'd want to win this quite comfortably. And I think this is going to be an ugly wake-up call for Collingwood, where they will fancy themselves to bring a contest. And Geelong's going to get it done on them. They're going to get it done. It could be a thriller. It could be a thriller. However, I don't know if it will be. I don't know if it will be. I think there could be potential for a few ugly games this round. You know what? I'm going to go with the thriller. I think 5 points, Geelong. You know, Collingwood bringing their pace a little bit, and then maybe they get a little bit of a lead, and then Geelong chips back and they win it. But something as well tells me that Geelong might switch it on and go, no, we've got to bury them. We got to bury them now and assert something. So, bugger it. I'm just going to go 48. I'm tossing and turning between the close game and the smashing. And I think we are probably going to see a smashing now. So, this is a game, surprisingly, every year that people think Brisbane, they're going to kill North Melbourne. They're going to kill North Melbourne. They say it every year. Oh, Brisbane, they're going to do it. They're going to smash them. And then last year they didn't do it. As a matter of fact, I think it was almost a draw. Or it was a draw, I can't remember. But it was really, really close. Closer than you would have liked it to be. Brisbane have not had a good start to the year. They've struggled against Essendon a little bit. And, rightfully so. Essendon needed to lift after the week before. And, credit to them. They did. They struggled in round one. Really ugly at home. But this is at the Gabba now, and it's North. It's North Melbourne. And I think North are kind of due for a shit performance. Brisbane need to win something here. I don't know. Maybe North can bring it close. Maybe. But the fact that it's not away doesn't help North Melbourne. And the fact that it's at the Gabba and Brisbane need a dominant performance. They need a huge performance now to stamp the foot down and say, no, we are going for that premiership. So I think Brisbane are going to do that. Regardless of the close games they've had in recent times, they're going to stamp their foot down. There could be potential for some ugly smashings this round. I think it's going to happen. I think they're gonna kill them by a bit, man. I think they're finally going to get a 50-point win, and it's going to be a wake-up call for North. This game is going to be close. It's not going to be a smashing. I know I've tipped a couple smashings. This one's going to be close. North are going to fancy themselves, and so is Carlton. They're both going to be umming and ahhing, going, and worrying about each other because the other is scary to the other. It's just that's the case right now. I think part of me wants to tip Carlton because of how well they've done. How well they've started. They've started really good, guys. They've looked amazing. They've looked phenomenal. But something tells me that Hawthorn might beat them. Might just beat them by the skin of their teeth. And Carlton will be like, oh shit! And shocked by it. And everyone will be shocked at the MCG thinking, shit me, we had Carlton penciled in. I was thinking Hawthorn for the upset last week too against Port, and they did it. They did it. They shocked a lot of people. Everyone thought, oh no, Hawthorn, they're not going to fucking do it. They're not going to do it. And maybe they won't. Maybe they won't beat Carlton. But something in me is telling me they're a chance. They're a chance to have an ugly close game with them and beat them by 7 points. In a close one. Very close game. This could be razor wire thin. But I think Hawthorn will get it done. And Carlton could win this very easily because they've looked phenomenal. But when you have a new team like that, I'm not saying they're a new team because they're not a new team. But when you have a team that's found newfound success and exciting wins, there needs to be a crash down moment. And it feels like with AFL that happens a lot. And this really stinks of a crash down moment. So Hawthorn by 7. Top of the ladder, man. 3-0. Who would have thought? St Kilda versus Richmond. Richmond had a dominant performance last week. And St Kilda won an ugly one against Fremantle. Saints need a good performance where they can go, oh, we did well there. You could argue and say that third quarter was that for Saints last week. You could say that the fact that we only kicked 2 goals at half time and then fought back and won at the end of the game was really big by them, and it was, but we had some injuries. Freo did. My Fremantle, they choked the game because they had Sean Darcy get injured, and the defence went poor in the end. So I don't know. The annoyed Fremantle fan of me goes, come on Richmond, kill them, avenge us. But the other half of me goes, you know what? St Kilda probably need a good performance here to beat Richmond. They actually need to beat Richmond to keep their season intact and give them a good, run at it in the future going ahead. I think St Kilda is going to upset Richmond, and people are going to be a bit shocked by it. They're going to be going, what the hell? Richmond just killed GWS at MCG, and, to be honest, GWS have never been great at the MCG, and they'd have that mental cloud over their head, the fact that they lost the grand final to Richmond at the MCG, so they really didn't show up very well at all. But I think St Kilda is going to win by 8 points in a very close one, and they're going to probably just show Richmond that, it takes a bit more than beating an old foe that you faced at the G and grand final day. Richmond are a bit inconsistent too at the moment. They just lost to Carlton round 1. They bounced back, but I don't know if they'll win again against St Kilda. We'll see. But yeah, I've got St Kilda winning. The Western Derby, Fremantle versus West Coast. As a Fremantle fan, I'm worried. I'm very worried because we have now played 2 games in a row where we've played pretty good for a first half, and then in the second half went straight down. We just nosedived. Couple injuries too, couple health and safety protocols. Justin dropped some hints in the presser that there might even be some things that we may need to worry about when it comes to health and safety protocols again this week. I guess we'll cross that bridge when it comes. Taberner could be a chance if he is. That helps our forward line out. Because to be honest, Meek and Darcy alone isn't good. Meek and Lob alone isn't good enough. We needed Darcy, and the moment that Darcy got injured, it wasn't good for us. If we don't have Sean Darcy in this derby coming up, I reckon we're going to be struggling, and they'll get Nick Nat back. They're getting a bunch of players back this week, I do know that much. So I think West Coast, with the pressure of losing Zip and 2, going, okay, we used to dominate this side. We used to kill Fremantle every year. We used to beat them. We won 11 in a row. Why should we lose to this club again? I think they'll be thinking that in their head. They'll be going, we've lost two times now. We've lost to Gold Coast, North Melbourne. We're back at Optus. Fremantle just lost to St Kilda. We can beat this team. They're vulnerable. They've got injuries. They've got shit going on. They've got mental hurdles and obstacles that are in their head with their performance. We can beat them. And this stinks of a West Coast win. It actually stinks of a round where people will be expecting one thing and then the other thing happens. I think that's what this round's going to be. And I think West Coast is going to get it done. They're going to beat Freo. It's all dependent on outs and ins. If Fremantle are ballsy at selection and actually show some balls and drop some people they need to drop, like Walters and a couple other players, and bring in some fresh, exciting names, Freo could win it. But I think West Coast they're gonna come out angry, and they're gonna really surprise Freo. It could be a 29-point win. Could be a frustrating game for us Freo fans, and I hope it's not. But I'm being realistic. I reckon West Coast get their first win of the year by 29. Could even be 12 points. I reckon whatever it is, it's going to be a frustrating margin. We'll be within the realms of maybe being able to win it, but then we just blow our chances by missing goals and having no mid-forward connection. It'll be the same fucking story every week. So West Coast are 11th, Fremantle 13th. That's their top 8. Hawthorn, Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, Geelong, Carlton, Collingwood, St Kilda. Hope you guys enjoyed the tips. If you want to see more, if you want to watch more of these tipping videos, I'll bring you more. And make sure you like and subscribe. And I shall see you next week. Peace.